Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Kevin, and I want to show people how to install printers for both Windows 7 and El Capitan. So for this, I'm gonna show you printer installation, DHCP, DNS, and IP addresses, and useful commands that you should know for Windows 7 and for Mac. So a little bit about me. My name is Kevin, and I am CompTIA A Plus certified, and I am ACMT Apple certified. So I want to make videos to show people how to install printers, how to troubleshoot Windows, how to troubleshoot Mac, and basically for this video, I'm going to show you printers. So for Windows 7, you have drivers. You have for drivers is usually when you plug things in, it automatically finds it on Windows 7. So we call that plug and play. So basically, if you plug in a USB port to a computer, then you would have the computer look for it. For example, let me get this one right here, my computer. We have this plug here. This is a USB port plug. You'll plug this into the computer, and Windows 7 will search for this particular plug if it's plugged into another device, like a microphone, like I have right here, or um, anything else, headphones, or you name it. So basically, printers are um, are part of the computer. If you wanna install a printer, you can install a printer using USB ports. You can install a printer using an IP address. You can install a printer using a domain, like adding it to a domain in the server. You could add a printer through a host name. It depends on the environment that you're in. So, for example, if you're in a desktop support environment, the printer will be added to a server, and it will have its own IP address, and the IP address would be a static IP address. So, in that case, then it would be added there, and the computer of the user will be added to a domain along with the printer. So in this case, I'm going to show you how to add a printer if you're just on a regular standard computer for as a field technician or PC technician, things like that. So to add a printer, you would have to, let me move this to the right, go to Start menu, you'll go to Devices and Printers, and the printers will be listed right here if you added it already. My printer is Workforce 610 Network. I added it already here. And how to add a printer, right? So you go to add a printer. Give it a second because I have a couple of things running in the background. And you can add a printer using a local printer, or you could do it through the network. If it has an IP address, you'll put it on the network. But you also have to keep in mind that if your computer is on the network and they're both on the same network, then you can add the printer. But if it's in a different network, then you probably can't add it. So you have to keep that in mind. So you go to add printer, and whatever the name of the printer is, you will add it. So this one is a Workforce. You click next. It's gonna install the printer, and it's gonna look for the drivers for it. Click right here. See? It's looking for the drivers for that particular printer. So in this case, I downloaded the drivers already, and you would add the printer name, and that's how you add a printer to Windows 7. And it's already here. If you see it here, I'm going to remove it. So to remove a printer, you just right click, remove device. It's going to remove right now. All right. And now you have something else. It's called a printer queue. So like, Kevin, what's a printer queue? So you go to see what's printing, and this is a printer queue basically. So here you have a lot of options, a lot of things here. You got pause, resume, restart, cancel, and basically if you have a paper jam, and you see no paper there, it's probably something in the printer queue you have to troubleshoot. Or if you have a paper that's not printing, it's because you're out of ink. It also means that probability is no paper, no ink. Another one would be is that someone tried to print it and stuck here, so they have to resume print. Another issue would be is if If there's a paper jam and the paper's inside the printer, and you took out the paper, like you took it out with your hand and you pull it out, and for some reason it still doesn't want to print, it still says paper jam, it's probably because you still have a little piece of paper stuck inside the printer, because printers are very sensitive and they have their own sensors. And if you don't take out the whole paper, or you don't take out the little pieces of paper inside the printer, it still will say paper jam. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So anyway, so so I showed you how to add a printer. So you would click add a printer, and give me a second. You have add a printer, and the end of the printer is not listed there. You don't see it there. So you will add it through the IP address. Mine is 192.168.0.10. Trying to look for the printer. It found it. So, but some cases you can't add the printer because it doesn't find the drivers. Because Windows 7 has their own drivers for some printers, like HP, Dell, Lexmark, um, Xerox, and depending on the printer that you have, it will try to look for it. But if it doesn't find it, then you would have to go to devices and printers and actually add it from there. So not devices and printers. Sorry, you would have to go to look for the drivers. Excuse me. I'm sorry, for the drivers. So to look for drivers, you would go to your web browser, depending on what kind of web browser you have. You have Google.com, you have Internet Explorer, you have Firefox. I don't know what kind of web browser you use, and you will go, and for mine, it's for mine. Give me a second. Mine is Workforce 610. So work can't type. Workforce 610. Drivers. Windows is gonna tell you which one. Windows 7, Windows 8. So you go to Windows 7 and you will look for the drivers. Drivers are right here. You download the drivers, and it'll give you when you do the drivers, it'll ask you what the IP address is, and you put the IP address of the printer, things like that. So that's how you add the printer for Windows 7. And obviously, to get into the printers, you go to devices and printers. This is one method. Another method would be the devices and printers. You type it in. That's another method. Another method would be the control panel. And you go to hardware and sound and devices and printers. That's the other method you could use. So there's several methods you could use to install a printer. And for the sake of adding printers, I'm gonna do it for Apple as well. For El Capitan. So for El Capitan, you Mac OS X, El Capitan, you need the same thing. You need an IP address. You could put it in the host name. I always recommend putting things on the host name because the IP address always changes. There's something called IP address the lease time. The lease time, which is basically it's leased out for a certain amount of time, and the IP address always changes. So you want to put it through the host name or through an actual static IP address, depending on the environment you're in. So I'm going to go over Mac. So Mac is, here we go. I have Mac. I installed it on a virtual machine. And just like Windows, Mac has its own start menu. The start menu is in the bottom for this one. And the start menu is in the top for this one. So we gotta add the Apple logo right here. It's like a start menu. I mean, it's not, but it's kind of. So click about this Mac. See, gives you a little bit of information about your Mac, display, storage, memory, how much RAM you have, and things like that. So we're trying to install a printer. So for printers, you can install it to System Preferences right here, or you could click on it on the dock. Oh, see this? Oh, this is a dock right here. So you click on System Preferences, and you go to Printers and Scanners. That's one way to. There's actually two ways to add a printer to look for the printers and scanners. Another way to look for printers and scanners, you go to here. You have your Spotlight. Spotlight is like basically having the search menu on Windows 7, the run menu. So you go here, you see the plus sign, there's a plus and minus sign. You go to plus sign, and it will probably not show up here. But to add, for the sake of adding printers, I want to show you how to actually add a printer. So we know the IP address is 192.168.0.10, I believe. I believe that's the IP address. Let's see. Yep, see, found it. 44610. And you click add. So it's gonna find this. It's looking for the software for this particular printer. Like I said, everything needs drivers, so it's looking for the drivers for this particular printer. It doesn't have it, so it has to add the drivers to it. So it says finding software, and it will download the software from, obviously, from the Apple website, the Apple App Store, or from the actual website. And it's downloading the printer software data right now. Give it a second. Installing one item. Because my Apple virtual machine is actually on the network along with Windows 7. They're both on the network. For the sake of this presentation, I put Mac OS X El Capitan on a virtual machine, and I actually wanted to show people how to add a printer, things like that. So let this finish up. It's trying to install the printer. It takes a while. Like it takes a while. It depends how fast your network is. If you have a fast network, then it shouldn't take that long. But for this one, I'm downloading the actual drivers. So to download drivers, it takes a while. So that's why, like, if you're a PC technician, you're a field tech, because I was a field tech at one point. If you're a field tech, I will always recommend, if you work in an environment where everyone has the same printer, I would download the drivers and put it on a flash drive, and then you carry it with you, and it's so much easier that way. So anyway, so see, it's installed, and just like Windows 7, this has a printer queue. So right here is a printer queue. You go pause. You have your settings right here. It tells you the actual supply level of the printer, like how much ink it has and things like that. And in some cases, it doesn't have it here. But in some cases, if you really want to know things like that, give me a second. So I'm gonna open print queue again, just to show you what other things it has. See, you could do a test page, network diagnostic error, print, delete, resume. So this is the printer queue for Mac. In some cases, you actually want to know about your printer, and you could actually change the settings on the printer by actually logging in to the actual printer. See? This is my printer right here. Look, see, I have no ink at all. I have to purchase ink. Tells me the IP address. Tells me what the read and write. Gives me all these settings here. So that's how you add a printer on Mac. And for the sake of this, I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna minimize this, and I'm gonna leave this here because I'm gonna be using this later on for this. All right. So in the agenda, I was talking about the DHCP, DNS, and IP addresses. So for this one is DHCP. So DHCP is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. It obtains assigned IP addresses and subnet mask along with default gateway. And then you have your DNS. DNS is domain name system. It translates letters into numbers. For example, Google.com, Facebook.com. If you were to, for example, like my computer, if you were to say how it's set up in DNS gives it a number, not a letter, because otherwise, people would have to type the actual letter, it would be a long letter, but in this case, it would just be an IP address, 192.168, or whatever you have, 54.1, depends what you have. So for this one, it'll be Google.com or Facebook. It depends what you have. So that's what DNS. It translates letters into numbers. So that's networking. If you know anything about networking, you should also understand IP addresses. and how they work. How do you get a subnet mask and things like that. So for IP addresses, we have different classes. We have a class A, a class B, and a class C. For class A is 1 through 126. For class B is 128 through 191. For class C is 192 to 223. You see the subnet mask. If it's a class A, it's 255.0.0.0. If it's class B, it's 255.255.0.0. Class C, it's 3255, 255.255.0. So, see, it's not that really that complicated issues. I mean, if you have any issues, you let me know about this. So, I'm gonna show you some command prompts, like actual command prompts that you could actually type in. The command prompt is really good as a PC technician, as a desktop support technician, as a field technician, or someone who does remote desktop. They should be familiar with command prompt. So the command prompt is a really powerful tool for you if you want to know if something's on the network or something's not on the network, or you want to troubleshoot a computer through TeamViewer, remote desktop, or whatever you have. So for the sake of this, to get to the command prompt, you go to the start menu, you type CMD, you would type ipconfig, and when you ipconfig is really good because it tells you if something's on the network or not. In my case, I'm on the network, so I'm 192.168.0.3. That's my IP address, and that's how you could tell if you're on the network or not. Otherwise, it would be 0.0.0.0. You wouldn't even be on the network. And also, on the bottom right hand side of Windows 7, you have an icon that looks like a PC computer connected. That's how you know you're on the network also. So, and you have here, you can actually see here that it says my name, the name of the computer, the network name, and it's connected to the internet. So that's how you check if you're on the network. For Windows, for Mac, I have my virtual machine open. It's the same thing. For Mac, you actually won't use a command prompt. It's actually terminal. So you type terminal, you look for terminal. You could check for terminal. You click enter. I love Spotlight because Spotlight makes everything so much easier to look for things. So you type ifconfig. Can't type. Press enter, and it should give you an IP address, just like the other one. So my IP address is, I see it right here, 10.0.10.0.2.15. Yep, so that's my IP address. So I'm gonna leave that there for a second. So ipconfig all is to check more of the network. So I'm wondering about something. ipconfig all. See, it doesn't work on this, but you could do it on Windows. So on Windows, it's CMD, ipconfig /all, and it will show you everything on the network. Your network card, your network DNS server, your internet adapter, and all this good stuff in it. So there's more information on about your network. You also have ipconfig all. You also have ping. So ping is basically to see if you get you get 4 replies when you ping something. So you want to see if something's on the network, or basically if you have a printer and it's on the network just like your computer, you want to see if you get 4 replies from your printer. If you're both on the same network, so you can print from it, you could actually ping it. So you have CMD and you'll type ping. Mine is 192.168.0.10. You should get 4 replies. I got 4 replies from my computer, so it means it sees my printer, it knows my printer is there, they're on the same network, and they should be able to print. And I believe you could ping on a Mac machine, but I'm not sure if it's gonna work on this. Yeah, it does work. What do you know? Yeah, and it'll keep pinging it. Things are for quite some time. So, yep. Close that out. Alright, so you have renew, release, and flush DNS. ipconfig renew is basically if you want to get a new IP address. But before you could do that, you have to release the IP address. For example, my IP address is 192.168.0.3, and I want a new IP address, so I want the ipconfig / release, and then type renew. So we know the IP is 192.168.56.1. It was something else before. If you go all the way up here, see? It was 0.3. I changed the IP address. Sometimes you have issues with your network, so you have to change the IP address. It's either because someone has your same IP address, which is not really possible, but in some cases, you might have issues with your network. So if you want to troubleshoot your network, that's one way. Another way is you could flush DNS. So you type ipconfig flush DNS, and that's to fix your domain name service to see if it, because sometimes you have issues with your domain name and DHCP. You want to make sure that everything's working according to standards. So let me close out this app machine. Give me a second. I'll leave it down there. All right. So other useful commands. We have a lot of commands you could do on the command prompt. So you have sfc /scan now. I'm not gonna show you what it does, but basically it's if you have issues with your if you have issues with your Windows 7 files, like you're getting some issues with blue screens of death, or you're having other issues with Windows 7, it's just not booting up correctly and things like that. And check disk is for your hard drive. You have issues with your hard drive. Your hard drive is your hard drive is basically not working correctly. Your hard drive is extremely slow, or you think you have a virus, or you think you have an issue with your hard drive, then you would do check disk. Check disk is to make sure that your hard drive is working correctly, to see if it's not messed up or anything like that. But for the sake of hard drives, I want to actually show you how you check your hard drive on your computer. So you will go to the start menu, you will right click on the computer, you go to manage, and you see all these things here. It's like, oh man, a lot of stuff here, right? You go to storage, you go to disk management, and your hard drive is right here. See, I have a C drive, and it should say right here if it's healthy. See, my hard drive is healthy, which means nothing's wrong with my hard drive. I don't have any issues. It's not crashing or anything. So this is how you check your hard drive. Usually, if you plug a new hard drive in, or you put a new hard drive on your computer, or you put an external hard drive on your computer, it would show up right here. It should show up right here. And sometimes if it shows up here, it will show up unallocated, which means it hasn't been used up, or you need to create a new partition. I'm going to make another video talking about partitions. That's for later on. But for now, I just wanted to show you how to look at your hard drive to see if it's not working correctly or it is working correctly and things like that. So we have other things you could use for the command prompt. So you have system info, which is really cool. I love this one because system info, you could check the operating system, you could check how much RAM you have, you could check your processor, you could check your network card, and you could check other things. So system info is really useful because it actually gives you like a whole list of things that are on your computer, that's installed on your computer. So it takes a while, but I got it to run. So go all the way over here. See? Tells you the host name of the computer, the operating system. What is it? Service Pack 1. It's a Microsoft Windows operating system. The owner is called new user. It tells you the original install date, the date that Windows 7 was installed on this computer. It tells you the system boot time, what time the computer was on. I turned this computer on at 11:16:58 a.m. It tells you the manufacturer of the motherboard is MSI. the system model. The model of that tells you if it's 64-bit, x64 based computer. It also tells you other things. You have a lot of information. So this is real useful for a technician or PC tech or a field tech or someone that wants to look up information about a computer. It also has memory. See, physical memory, 8 gigs of RAM. How much memory you could put on this is 16 gigs of RAM. So it's really good to have. And then we have other things like I want to show you, like net user. Enter. So it shows you how many users you have connected to this computer. I have guests turned off. I have only one user. So, and if you really want to check the users, you go actually go to the right hand side. You see the date and time on the right hand side. You go to not property, sorry. You go into task manager. You go to users, and it will show you a list of users that are connected to the computer. I have one more command for you. So it's shutdown /I. So this is to turn off your computer if you have a computer that is just not responding at all. It's just not acting the way it's supposed to act for some reason. So your computer is extremely laggy. You need to shut it down. You shut it down with this. But you can also plan. You can plan a date and time that you want to shut it down. You can add comments here. So whatever computer you want to shut down, you can shut it down here. And you could display a warning. You can actually set it up for a warning, a date and time that you want to shut it down, and things like that. Well, I don't know about date and time, but like you could actually plan out a shutdown. It's pretty cool. I like this thing. All right. So that should be my presentation. Thank you. Thanks for watching my video. Hope you liked the video. If you like it, just rate, comment, subscribe. I will make other videos about Windows 7 and Mac OS X. If you have any questions, you need help with anything, feel free to ask me. I'm here to help. And hope you have a good weekend. Happy Friday. Take care. Thank you.